Hello, my name is Sharon, and for my video essay, I wanted to talk about my observations and what I've learned about the modern cafe culture in South Korea. I'm from LA, and while there's a good amount of cafes there, it's nowhere close to how many there are in South Korea. It feels as if every street here has at least one cafe. One thing that I've noticed is how convenient it is to get to a cafe. One of my favorite things to do is cafe hopping, in which Korea is probably the most ideal place to do this. Because of how many cafes there are, you don't have to walk much before you can visit the next cafe. For example, this is a picture of Bojondong Cafe Street near Dongguk University that I recently visited. It's a whole street just filled with cafes, restaurants, and small shops. You can find cafes within walking distance to each other. Because of how accessible and close by cafes are to each other, it makes it so easy to cafe hop. For example, here's a map of some cafes I'm planning for my next cafe hop, and you can see on this map how close multiple cafes are to each other. Cafe hopping easily becomes a sociable event that Koreans and tourists alike can do. It's different compared to the States where cafes are not walking distance to each other, which makes cafe hopping more difficult if one does not have a car. I was curious, so I researched why there were so many cafes in South Korea, and this could be alluded to the lack of privacy found in Korea. Most youth and young adults live with their parents until after marriage, which makes it hard for one to have their own space. Therefore, cafes are a way for some to get their privacy, socialize, or even go on dates without the presence of family. As for this reason, this is why there are so many themed cafes with activities to help with creating this interactive environment. For example, there's boardroom cafes, animal cafes, or like arts and crafts / creative cafes where you can write letters or make perfume. Throughout the different times I visited a cafe, I've only noticed young adult or university students. Catering toward this demographic is demonstrated by the locations of these cafes, such as Cafe Street near Dongguk University, the myriad of cafes in Sinchon for Yonsei students, and Hongdae is another spot as primarily young adults gather there. Cafes are more than just drinks in South Korea, but a place for interaction. Thank you.